Hey there gamers, welcome back to the Board Game Co channel, and this is a preview of Queen by Midnight Quarter Past. Well, hey there gamers, welcome back to the Board Game Co channel. It's Professor Meg here, and today we have a preview of Queen by Midnight Quarter Past. Now this is a standalone expansion to an existing game, Queen by Midnight, that you can see right here behind me, and thank you to Darrington Press for sponsoring this video. Now to get right into it, Queen by Midnight is a game where players are going to be deck building based on their different specialties, such as a brawler or schemer, and depending on what your princess is, you are going to deck build to try to be the princess that survives until midnight, which will then become queen. Now you could be the last princess standing, but if the clock does get all the way to midnight, if you are the one with the most health and clout put together, then you will be the princess that gets to become queen. Now in front of you, you have a game set up for 4 players with everything that is going to be included in the new standalone expansion. Now I have to stress this is a standalone expansion. You can play the game with just everything that you see in front of you, but it's also fully integratable with everything in the original game. Now that being said, the standalone expansion is going to be available November 13th, so it's pretty soon. You can check out the link down below for everything that they have in store, but you're going to be able to pick this up in Critical Role shops, Darrington Press Guild stores, and your local FLGS. Now in Queen by Midnight, as I said, the goal is pretty straightforward. You have this clock here, and each round is going to represent an hour on the clock, so we are already here at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that represents 3 phases throughout the game: the afternoon, twilight, and midnight. Now throughout this time, you are going to have your health, because you are being attacked by all of the other princesses, and you are also going to have your clout, which you're going to be able to spend, but at the end of the game, if more than one princess is still alive, you're going to look at the health and the clout put together and see who is highest to see who would win the game. So both are extremely important, but you will be using your clout throughout the game to pay for the different cards that you will be playing. Now where every round is an hour on a player's turn, they're going to be able to do a whole lot of things. Now throughout your turn, you're going to be able to play cards that are in your hand. At the beginning of the game, you're going to start with 5 cards in your hand, and by the end of the game in midnight, you'll be ending with 7 cards in your hand. But you'll be able to play all of the cards that you have available to you. You'll also be able to purchase cards, and when you are playing those cards, you'll be able to set up certain things, such as cards in your armory, attacking other players, and things like that. At its heart, Queen by Midnight is a battle royale deck builder. So the different princesses are going to be starting with specific cards in their deck, and then they're also going to have their vault deck, which they're able to purchase from, and they're the only one that can purchase from that specific area. So that's something that's really interesting, is that you're going to have your player area here. You'll have your player board, and it'll show the 2 different attributes that you're able to use, such as schemer and caster, and your different starting levels in them. You track your clout and your health, but you also have these vault cards available to you, and seeing what is there, you are able to kind of plan on what you want to purchase and how you may want to build your deck. Now you also have your war chest over here, and again, this is locked until later in the game, but your war chests are also special cards that you are able to purchase specifically for your character. Now you also have your starting deck, and on top of that, players are going to be purchasing cards from this shared market and then adding them to their archive and using standard deck building rules as you play all of these cards. When you run out, you will shuffle your archive, put it back where your deck is, and then start drawing to then use the cards that you have purchased. Something unique about the deck building in this game is that you're going to have a lot of options, and also your hand size increases, which can make you feel a lot stronger as the game progresses. So you are going to be using your clout to pay for the cards that you are playing, and you're also using that to pay for the cards that you're purchasing, so you may choose not to play all of your cards. Now if you don't play all of them, you can either discard them and just get rid of them, which is a fun way to mill through your cards and try to get cards from your archive back into your deck as quickly as possible, but you can also hold on to cards if you choose to do so, but you're only going to draw up to your hand size limit. So if you have 5 cards in your hand and you play 4 and then you decide to hold on to one, you're only going to draw 4 cards up to your hand size limit. Now when it goes to twilight and then the midnight at the end of the game, your hand size is going to increase, and when that happens at the start of your turn, you'll draw to what your current hand limit is, so you do get that extra card too. Now every princess does have a different class, so you can see here that Elise is a build of a schemer and a caster, and they are a bit stronger of a schemer. These numbers here are what they'll do when they're casting different cards, whether you're attacking or casting spells, things like that, and it will reference either your major or your minor ability for that class. So here for the schemer, it would be a major 5 and a minor 3, and these tokens that are gained will augment that. So they're currently a 6/4 for schemer instead, whereas their caster ability ability is currently hurt, an opponent must have attacked them, and now they're a 3 for major and a 2 for minor instead. Now this is extremely important because you do start with certain cards that are all unique to your specific princess. Even the cards that you start off with in your hand have your princess's symbol on it, but any cards that you purchase have to be of the class of your princess. So for this character here, we would only be able to buy Schemer and Caster cards from the market here. Lucky for us, there is a Schemer and Caster one available, but in this expansion, you are also able to buy neutral cards. So there are neutral cards that anyone can purchase, and you're able to use that throughout the game. Now, as I said, perhaps you are able to change your classes, and Azil with a Z over here is able to use this token to flip to either grow or shrink. That she's currently a caster and a brawler, but if she were to flip that token over there with her ability, she would be able to be a schemer instead on the other side. Now, she is limited to only using and purchasing those cards that are within the correct classes, but it is a lot of versatility for that character. So a round structure, which is going to be a complete hour here on the clock, is going to have all players going in turn order, playing all of their cards, purchasing anything that they would like, and then discarding any cards to their archive before drawing up to their hand limit. Now, another thing that you are able to do, both with your vault deck and the market, is to refresh the row. So if you'd like to, you can pay 2 clout to refresh those once per turn. Now, on top of that, I'm going to go through the different things that will trigger throughout the different hours, because after that, I want to get into the specifics of what the card play looks like. So, starting at round 5, which we are about to hit, this is when you're going to move forward to the Twilight cards. So at the beginning of the game, you are going to be able to purchase these afternoon cards starting here for rounds 1 through 4, and you can tell because it has this little sun symbol here up in the stained glass. And when you go over to turn 5, at the end of everybody's turns, you'll then take any of these remaining cards away from the market, and you will grab your Twilight cards and put those out instead. So you will then fill the market with new cards that are stronger, and this will escalate throughout the game again during the midnight phase, which will happen over here during round 8. So the cards will get stronger and stronger, and everything that you have available to you will change, refreshing these different rows. Now, on top of that, when this happens, that's when the player hand increases to 6, and this is when the player hand would increase to 7. So whenever you have the new cards available to purchase, you are then able to also have an additional card in your hand, increasing what you have available, and also increasing the probability of you drawing those cards that you're now purchasing. Now that's what happens during Twilight and Midnight, but when the clock strikes 6, something kind of tricky happens. So in the game, when you have at least 4 players, when you are integrating them, you can have up to 6, but in this game you can play 2 to 4. And if you have 4 players, you are then, when the clock strikes 6, able to decide your allegiance. So you're going to look around the table and see who you think may win if you are not the one to do so. It's kind of a realization in the game that you know you may not win, and it's a way for someone to have a catch-up mechanic to perhaps win with someone else instead. So looking at our player here, we're the light blue color, but everyone else is represented by these colors here, and these are our cards. So there's a part in the game when the clock strikes, everyone is going to discuss this and try to say why they deserve support, why you might support certain people, but you are not stuck to anything you say, and then you secretly take one of these cards, pledge your allegiance, and put it face down. Now this will come into play later, and I'll explain that in a second, but you are basically choosing who you think is going to win if you are not the one to do so, and if that does happen, that's because you want to become their advisor. So when a player does choose to pledge their allegiance to one of the other princesses, let's say, for example, we want to pledge our allegiance to the pink princess, we think that she may win, we will put this card face down somewhere in our play area to show that that is who we are hoping will win, if it would be us, but obviously it will be us. Now, if that player does die at the game, if their health ever reaches 0, then they would reveal this card. If that player does not yet have an advisor, this player would become their advisor. Now, if this player already had an advisor, they would just die. And if this player was the one that dealt the damage to kill this player, they would also just die because they are not able to advise someone that basically just got rid of them. Now that's what happens if you are to die throughout the game, but as you can imagine, when the game ends at midnight, during the 11 o'clock hour, you are also able to optionally reveal this to become an advisor to someone that you think may win because you don't think you will. So you are also able to reveal this as a contingency plan toward the end of the game during 11 o'clock if you haven't died yet, but you think it may still be a great option for you to do so. Now, I'm going to get into player cards in a moment and everything that they do, but for you to know, when you become an advisor, it's on the other side of this card for you. So you have your ultimate ability that you get access to once it's in the midnight phase, and on the other side is your inner circle card. This is what becomes your abilities throughout the game if you have died and you are someone's advisor. You have to choose one. So for example, this one is Royal Curator. Add a card from your banished pile to your leader's hand, or banish a card from an opponent's armory. Now, banishing is removing a card from game completely, and this character is based on having their own banished pile. So that first ability is really great, and the second one is also very strong because you are taking something away from someone's armory and just getting rid of it and eliminating it from the game, meaning that it won't just go to their archive for them to play later, it would be removed from play for the rest of the game. Alright, so taking a look at this current player's hand, we're going to look at the cards and how you're playing them because the meat and potatoes of this game is going to be playing and then purchasing cards. So looking here, you can see this copper banner, and that means that this was in the starting deck for this player. So up here, that is the purchase cost, but it was in their starting deck, so it's currently 0. And on the other side, it's also 0, meaning that it is free to play. This is a way for you to gain clout, for you to be able to do things with your other cards. So here we can use our copper to gain a clout, and when it's banished, we would also gain a clout. So we'd be able to banish this in the future with some of our abilities to get rid of it. But for now, we are going to play this down here to our archive and use it to gain 1 clout over here. Now we're going to do the same thing with our silver, which is gain 2 clout. So we're going to gain 2 more, and we now have 8 to work with. Now looking at our cards here, we have a utility card. And this one is for our caster ability, and it's Verdant Growth, which is gain 1 clout, put a card from your archive on the bottom of your deck, then draw another card. So that's a way for you to start going through future cards, having you have more ones to play than just the 5 that you drew for your turn. But first we're going to look through our other cards. We also have this one, which does cost 6 to purchase, but after that it is 0 to play, and it's called Do You Know Who I Am? Gain 4 clout. So we're going to use that one right away because it's very beneficial for us, and this one is that Schemer ability. So we will play this here, and you can notice that these ones are also our afternoon cards because it did just become 5 o'clock, and we have not yet purchased any Twilight cards. So for this one we're going to gain 4 more clout, going 1, 2, 3, 4. We're now up to 12. And then our next card is Inciting Incident. This one is going to be one of the neutral cards, which is new to this expansion, and it's purchase up to 1 non-ultimate card from your war chest. That's pretty crazy because your war chest is usually not accessible until later in the game. Usually you aren't able to purchase from it until you are in 8 o'clock, but this is a way for you to purchase that. Now that may sound very strong, but this one is also an event card, and event cards are also a new type to this expansion. There are event cards and trap cards, and those ones are new, and event cards are one-time uses, so they are very strong, but you don't have to worry about them too much as far as coming back into play and your opponent having something very, very strong available to them. So this is a way for you to get one of your war chest cards, but after that this card is gone and banished. Now, you did see that this character here does work with banished cards and potentially could give it to someone if they become their advisor, so this could come back into play, but not usually. Alright, and I think we are going to play this card here to take that 1 non-ultimate card. So we are going to put this to our own banished pile because it's an event, but we are going to hold on to it because of this character's abilities. And then we're going to go over here to our war chest area. Now this one with the character art is your ultimate, so we aren't going to purchase that one. But from that we have a Schemer card and a Caster card available. They both cost 3, so we're going to take this one, which is Wealth Beyond Measure. Now, that did cost us 3 clout to be able to purchase, but this is a boon that we are now going to be able to have, which is at the end of your turn, and after you've drawn a new hand, you may take 1 card from your banish pile and add it to your hand. So again, as you can see, that card was very strong for this character to take, and it works very, very well with the synergy. You'll notice that a lot of these cards will work really well together depending on the different classes that you're playing as, that the caster abilities really tie in well together, the schemer abilities are very thematic, and the brawler abilities are very, very strong. And because that was purchased, we will put it here in our archive, but in the future, it will go to our armory. Alright, and now we will play our Verdant Growth card. As any good growth card does, it doesn't cost us anything to play, but it will help us gain a clout. And then we are going to put a card from our archive on the bottom of our deck, then draw another card. So we are going to take this War Chest card so that we can be sure to draw in, I think, potentially our next hand. Yes, absolutely. We'll put that there, and then we are going to draw a new card, which is going to be gold, gain 3 clout. So we'll be able to use that to gain 3 more clout, but then we are out of cards that we are able to use. We're then able to purchase either from the market here or from our vault deck, and any of those will refresh immediately as soon as you start purchasing cards. So right now we do have a decent amount of clout. We would be able to buy a lot of things that we wanted. They would go here to our archive, and then we would draw up to our 6 cards now, shuffling any of this to form a new deck as we need it. Now in that turn, you saw me gain a lot of clout, which is something that you'll see a lot toward the beginning of the game, and as you get stronger and stronger, you'll be having more attacks during your turns. And when you're doing so, you're really leaning into those different classes and seeing how they can pile up together. For example, our Brawler class over here, you're able to attack and do your minor Brawler damage, but certain cards allow you to do your major Brawler damage if you've already done an attack to them that turn. So you're able to attack multiple times to different people, really beating them up and trying to get them to 0 health to hopefully have that be the way that you are the last princess standing. So as I said, those are these cards over here. We have Daring Prowess, which is deal minor brawler damage to one opponent. If this is the first time you've attacked that princess this turn, permanently gain 1 level of your choice. So that's a way for you to make your brawler even stronger and deal minor damage to them. But then after that, there's also this other card, which is Death Dance. Deal minor brawler damage to any number of opponents. If you have already attacked them this turn, deal major brawler damage instead. Each target counts as a separate attack card. So that's a way for you to build those 2 different things together, but in order to do so, you need to be purchasing these different cards from your vault deck, adding them into your archive, and hopefully banishing some of those starting cards that you started off with that had you gaining a bit of clout but otherwise were a bit weak, so that you can get stronger and stronger and lean into your different classes to be able to have these combos that feel really satisfying. Now your vault deck is always available to you, as well as the correct market for what time it is. But once it strikes 8 o'clock and you're in midnight, you are in the final hours of the battle, that is when you are able to actually purchase from your war chest if you didn't have something allow you to do it in a different way. So when you are doing this, you are able to purchase your ultimate, and when you do so, this does just go into your deck like any other card. So you would purchase it for 6 clout, and you would also have to spend 6 clout to be able to play it when drawn. So you would play it to your archive, hope to draw it, and then when you do so, you have this larger reference card to show you what the attack does. So you can see this one here is the Gift of the Grotto. Release the power of your collected curios for all of the following effects. Gain clout equal to the number of schemer cards in your banished pile. Heal HP equal to the number of caster cards in your banished pile. And deal damage to each opponent equal to the number of brawler cards in your banished pile. This counts as an attack card. So that's a way for you to tap into absolutely everything and do damage and heal yourself, as well as gaining clout, which will have you have extra victory points at the end of the game, because as I said, both health and clout are added together to see who is most powerful if there's more than one princess standing. Overall, Queen by Midnight Quarter Past is going to be an escalating deck builder that's going to make you feel stronger and stronger and have your turns feel more impactful. Now, you are going to have the markets that are growing with you, so as you are starting to develop your deck and get out those starting cards that are a bit weaker but necessary to begin with, you're going to feel the escalating effect of leaning into your different classes. Now, your classes and their levels are going to be so important, because when you are having these different cards, whether they combo together or whether you lean into both of your classes to try to play it safe, your major and minor abilities for your different classes are really going to be what's important, because you're going to be adding and increasing to your own levels, but people are also going to be attacking your levels as well. So they're going to be coming at you with damage and combos and cards that work really well, and they're also going to be buffing themselves, but they're also going to be just targeting your levels and making you weaker and weaker as well. So they're not affecting your cards as much. You're going to be developing your own decks, but they're going to be affecting your levels, which is going to change how effective those cards are, which may change what you want to purchase depending on how weak certain things are becoming for you and where you are able to come back ahead. Queen by Midnight Quarter Pass will be in stores November 13th, so it's pretty soon. Mark your calendars, and you'll be able to get this both at Darrington Press Guild stores, Critical Role shops, and your local FLGS, so be sure to show them some support and check out what they have available. You can check out the links down below for everything that I mentioned. I'm Professor Meg. Thank you all for watching the Board Game Co channel, and I will be sure to see you next time.